Some stories stay with you because they make you feel something. But this one, To Kill a Mockingbird, doesn't just make you feel, it makes you think. It questions your silence, it challenges your comfort, and it forces you to ask, what kind of person do I want to be? It was written by a woman named Harper Lee in 1960. She didn't care about fame, she avoided interviews, and she never wrote a sequel. Not because she couldn't, but because she said what she had to say, clearly, powerfully, unapologetically. And what she wrote changed the way the world talked about race, justice, and courage. Let's go back to the fictional town of Macomb, Alabama, deep in the American South. Here lives a quiet lawyer named Atticus Finch and his two children, Scout and Jem. To them, life is small, simple, predictable. But when a black man, Tom Robinson, is accused of attacking a white woman, everything changes. Atticus steps in to defend Tom not because it's easy, but because it's right. Most people around him tell him to stop, friends leave, neighbors whisper. His children get bullied at school, but Atticus stands his ground, and in doing so, he teaches one of the most important lessons in literature. You never really understand a person until you consider things from his point of view, until you climb into his skin and walk around in it. Scout, the narrator of the story, is just a little girl, but through her innocent eyes, we see the injustice that adults have accepted. We see how people can be polite on the outside and cruel underneath. Tom Robinson's trial is the heart of the novel. There's no evidence against him. Everyone in the courtroom knows he is innocent. Even the accusers know, but Tom is black. And in 1930s Alabama, that means one thing: guilty by color. And yet, Atticus doesn't give up. In court, he says something that still echoes today. But there is one way in this country in which all men are created equal. There is one human institution that makes a pauper the equal of a Rockefeller, the stupid man the equal of an Einstein. That institution, gentlemen, is a court. But even that speech, calm, reasoned, full of facts, doesn't change the outcome. Tom Robinson is declared guilty. And then he tries to escape and he's shot. 17 bullets for a man whose only crime was being born black. This moment hits hard, not just because of what happens to Tom, but because of what it says about society. Real fact. When the book came out in 1960, the American South was burning with racism. Segregation was law, and Harper Lee, a white woman, chose to speak up when staying silent was easier. She based Atticus on her own father, a lawyer who once defended two black men in a murder trial. He lost, but he tried, and that mattered. In 1962, the novel was turned into a film. Gregory Peck played Atticus Finch, and his performance was unforgettable. He became the face of moral courage, a quiet man with no violence in him, only integrity. He once said, "I put everything I had into that role, not for the Oscar, but for the message." He did win the Oscar, but more importantly, he gave the world a hero who didn't wear a cape, just a tie and a backbone. Meanwhile, another mystery lingers in the background of the novel: Boo Radley, the strange man next door, never seen, feared by children, surrounded by rumors. Scout and Jem think he's dangerous. They imagine him as a monster, but by the end of the novel, it is Boo Radley who saves them. When a drunk man attacks the children one night, Boo appears, silently, unexpectedly, and protects them. And in the final moment, Scout understands. "He was real nice," she says. To which Atticus replies, "Most people are, Scout, when you finally see them." To Kill a Mockingbird is filled with these moments, quite uncomfortable truths. It doesn't scream, it whispers, but those whispers linger. It shows us that racism isn't just hate, it's fear, ignorance, tradition passed down like a disease, and sometimes standing against that takes more strength than shouting. That's why Atticus Finch was named the greatest hero in American literature by the American Film Institute, because he represents the kind of person we wish we could be. Harper Lee never wrote another novel after this, except for a controversial prequel much later in her life, Go Set a Watchman, published in 2015. But for most readers, To Kill a Mockingbird remains her final word, a complete circle. This book may be set in the past, but the questions it raises still live in our present. So here's mine for you. In a world full of injustice, stereotypes, and easy silence, would you have the courage to do what's right, even when everyone else chooses comfort? Would you have the strength to be like Atticus Finch,